one street in town where horrible things happen, and that's Fear Street.
In July of 2021, horror fans all around the world got themselves the greatest gift of Fear Street. Fear Street is based on the horror fiction series by R.L. Stine. Initially, Netflix planned on releasing the trilogy on the basis of one film per month, but they were gracious enough to then change their plans to one film per week. Fear Street has been doing exceptionally well on Netflix and is still on the top 10 list. We can go on and on about the film trilogy and how much they have been loved by the viewers, but the film adaptation of Fear Street would not have been this popular if it wasn't directed by the one and only Leigh Janiak. In this video, we'll be telling you, will there be a Fear Street Part 4? Director Leigh Janiak says she wants to create the MCU of horror. Let us warn you that there are some spoilers ahead, so watch this video at your own risk. Before we continue, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for our notifications. Let's begin. The show's director thinks that Fear Street has a lot of potential to be the MCU of horror. In an interview, Leigh Janiak said that when she first started working on the project, she knew right away that the show had the potential to become the next Marvel Universe of horror. And even though the film trilogy has done exceptionally well, to lift the film up to the potential that a sequel might be in the works, there is still so much to add into the Fear Street stories. Not only the fans of this book series, but even the director feels as if each character of Fear Street deserves to get his or her own storyline, and that there are still so many lines to add to the fictional town of Shadyside, Ohio, and its neighboring town Sunnyvale. Leigh Janiak thinks that to make the series a Marvel Universe of horror, the possibilities are endless. She also thinks that the sources to continue on with this film are not limited, so to make a sequel for this will not be challenging at all. If given the chance, the sequel of this film can greatly live up to the expectations of the many fans of Fear Street, and not to forget to add that the fans would be very disappointed if a sequel does not get started soon. How can Fear Street be the next Marvel horror? When only the first part of the trilogy was released, Janiak hoped for Fear Street to get a good response, so that a sequel can be booked for it to expand to its potential to become the Marvel of horror. Janiak thinks that in order to make this film the Marvel Cinematic Universe of horror, the storylines can be of all sorts, including killers from different eras and whatnot. Even though Part 3 of Fear Street has ended on a note of all evil being eliminated from Shadyside, it does not mean that it has to stay like that forever, and a new form of evil can always arise. By the looks of it, there is a lot of potential for Fear Street to expand in every possible way so that the directors and most importantly the fans can get as much as they can out of the books of Fear Street, and for this to become the MCU of horror. Fun fact, even Leigh Janiak is a huge fan of the Fear Street book series. What has the Fear Street brought till now, and what can be done with Part 4? Leigh Janiak has been excited to get Fear Street out in all of its potential, but like every other film, she knew that any sequel of Fear Street depends on the success of the film trilogy and what the fans have to say about that. Janiak thinks that the universe of Fear Street is like anything can happen with its story if a sequel is to ever come out. Fans love that it is Leigh Janiak that has directed this trilogy, because not only did she think of these three films while directing them, but she also planned beforehand of what the films have to offer to everyone and what can be done beyond these three films to get everyone that full horror package. For its first part, the Fear Street movie revolved around the year 1994, in which a group of teens in the fictional town of Shadyside, Ohio, meet with a murderer who has been responsible for murdering many people at their local mall. The whole part 1 is based on those teenagers fighting with the murderer. The second part of the film is set in 1978, and the third part is set in 1966, where the story of Sarah Fear is told right from the beginning, and Sarah Fear is the person responsible for all those deadly scenes that have been happening in the town of Shadyside in all these years. Part 3 ended on a very high note, where the heroes of the film have seemingly eliminated all the evil from their town. But as the film ends on the sets of a local mall, which has been the site of many horror scenes that the film includes, a set of hands that haven't been seen yet on the film grab the spell book that was left behind by Sheriff Good, played by Ashley Zuckerman. So the ending has given many fans the hint that Fear Street still has a lot to give to its fans, and no one is more excited to do just that than the director Leigh Janiak. For Part 4, there is no lack of inspiration, as the director already has a lot in mind. Janiak has said that for Part 4, she would love to do a 1950s type sequence, as no one has ever witnessed a good horror movie based on that timeline. Netflix has done a great job into bringing the stories of Fear Street on screen. There have been many novels that have had a film version of them, but a portion of those have failed greatly. The thing with turning a story from a novel to a successful film or series requires a lot of attention to detail because most of the viewers of that film would be the ones who have already read the books. So obviously, the creators of that production do not want to disappoint anyone. This is the same with Fear Street. The author of Fear Street, R.L. Stine, has sold 1 million copies of the books, and there were a lot of fans waiting for its film adaptation. No one was disappointed with the film trilogy that got released recently, and the films were able to do really well. Netflix has done a really good job, and the work on those films speaks for itself. So, will there be a part 4? Or, according to some really reliable sources, yes, there might be a part 4. Some say that a script for part 4 has already been written, and with the success of this film trilogy, Netflix is all set to release another trilogy of Fear Streets with even the same cast members as before. This is quite some news, and we are sure you are getting excited already. Not sure if Leigh Janiak will direct part 4 or not. We all loved how Leigh Janiak was able to do such an exceptional job with the film trilogy, and a major part of the success of the trilogy on Netflix has got to do with the director's work. Let's face it, you can have a big production team with a really huge budget and an outstanding cast as well, but if you don't have a good director, then all of that goes to waste. Leigh Janiak was able to film all 3 of these films in just 6 months. That is a lot considering how the basic theme of these films was the same with the same cast members, but how much they were different in terms of their story and timeline. By the looks of it, Leigh Janiak might be directing the part 4 of Fear Street, but this hasn't been confirmed yet by anyone. With the success that the first 3 parts of Fear Street has been able to achieve, a part 4 was bound to come, and everyone is always ready for some horror. Even the people who get scared very easily love watching horror films deep down. Fans are excited to see what part 4 will bring to the table, and if Leigh Janiak gets on with directing this one as well, then, well, the sequel will definitely be a treat to the eyes when it comes out. Comment down below which one of the 3 parts was your favorite, and we understand if it's difficult to choose because with a film trilogy like this, then all 3 can be your favorite. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. Do not forget to hit the like button as you go and subscribe to the channel as well to watch more videos related to this. Hit the bell icon as well so that you can get notified every time we upload a new video. We will see you in the next one.